Hello, Paul.
Hello, how are you doing?
So great to see you. Oh, it's been such a
Great to
long
see you
time.
too. It's been a year, hasn't it? I mean, it was a year since Stephen and I were in Vancouver.
Speaking of you and Steven, first of all, your recording that's come out, the two of you, is getting absolute rave reviews.
That's nice.
I watched the birthday concert at Wigmore, and of course, now this is crazy, but I'm coming from the point of view of listening and watching. So I got completely discombobulated when you were playing the Schubert Fantasy on two pianos. And the point being that you actually each got to pedal, which is kind of significant. But
that was great.
And now Steven, I think I emailed him. He said it actually felt much better to play it on two pianos.
Yeah, in general, like you say, because you've got control of your own pedaling and you've got all your space as well. You're not sort of sharing half the space with someone else, so it's much easier. And we hadn't played that piece for ages. I mean, for 10 years, but we ran it through the day before here on two pianos. And it just kind of clicked into place. It was brilliant. And, being side by side, you're not too far away from each other. The only thing you lose is, when you're sitting right next to someone and you're kind of touching elbows and that
Yes.
kind of thing, you can feel how each other breathes. And there's something, like you can almost feel that you're physically doing it as one person.
Yes.
So obviously you lose that. But there are so many other things that make it easier to just to have your own piano.
It's so interesting now, and I can't remember. How did you deal with the lids? Did you remove the lid from the front piano and use the back piano with the lid up?
We did it in the only way that was possible given the logistics, because Steven was playing all evening, obviously.
Yes.
So he had that piano. It wasn't possible because I was playing the first part in the Schubert, but it wasn't possible to put that piano in front of Steven's piano because there wouldn't have been time to just get in the way.
Yeah.
So I was playing first piano behind Steven. It was the only place it could have been on the stage. So we put the lid up on that piano and then half stick on Steven's piano. And it seemed to work, but I don't think we could have done it any other way, really.
No, I mean, I don't think so either. The other thing I think I noticed at one point, and I'd forgotten this, when Steven plays concerts, he puts earplugs in, doesn't he? And I was reminded of that because I think he touched one of them at some point in the concert. And I thought, wow, I wonder how that feels when you're playing together.
I do all my practice with earplugs, with those similar earplugs that take just 12 decibels off. Yeah, takes 12 decibels off the range evenly. So it doesn't muffle anything. So you hear it, like it is, but just 12 decibels less. I feel I need a certain amount of courage to try and play a concert with the earplugs in. And I haven't sort of done that yet. So when I play concerts and when I'm rehearsing is the only time I play without the earplugs. But it's really sensible because like this tyrant on my wrist here, this watch keeps telling me when I'm practicing that it's over 90 decibels. It's constantly in 95, 96 decibels. And if you're doing that for 5 hours most days, you're going to go deaf.
And how far along did you decide to start using them for practicing?
Well, actually, years ago, I got custom earplugs made, the ones that Steven uses. So you go and get a mold taken, they put putty in your ear. It's not very nice. And then you get the custom made earplugs that fit your ear. So I did that. And that was probably about 10 years ago. And I used them and then I lost them. And then I got another pair and I lost those. So then I didn't use them for a while, but then I realized that actually you just buy them for about £12 on Amazon. They're just off the peg ones, and I think they work. They work just as well. Yeah,
that's so interesting.
So I can lose more of those.
So, well, now you've obviously been keeping quite busy over the past year playing concerts. I mean, relative to what you usually do, no, but you seem to have been playing a bit. In England only, or have you gone over to Europe in the past?
So in the autumn, from sort of September to December last year, there was quite a bit of traveling, and there was a bit in Germany. I was in Norway for a bit, so that there was actually a bit of traveling around Europe. This year, of course, the first couple of months of this year, there hasn't been very much at all, really.
No.
But just now in March, it suddenly cranked up, and there's been a sort of flurry of things in the last 2 weeks that I've done. I did something with the Halle this week, Philharmonia the week before, but it's here. It doesn't involve traveling. My first concert out of the UK is in a couple of weeks, actually in April, and it's in Ukraine. And it's my first time in Ukraine. So so that'll be an adventure. Feels really exotic to be going anywhere,
That's incredible. Is it a recital with orchestra?
It's a recital. It's one of the casualties from last year. So it's rescheduled from the festival last year, and they've put it into this year. So hopefully it'll go ahead.
Brexit doesn't affect that at all, does it?
No, Ukraine's not part of the EU.
No.
So that's the same. But if you want to get me started on Brexit, well, how long have you got?
I think I don't. I mean, so first of all, I'd like to tell you that from what Björk posted on Facebook, the pictures of your house, it looks so divine. Have you sold it yet?
No, we've only been on the market a couple of weeks, so it's still sort of relatively early days. I don't want to say, I don't want to jinx anything, really.
No.
There's been quite a few viewings, and we had a few second viewings.
Yeah.
And there seems to be something. I mean, I'm just keeping everything crossed that it goes well.
You've actually bought a place in Norway?
We have. Well, we had a flat in Oslo for a few years now, and we've sold that flat, and we've bought a house that's just a little bit outside, well, kind of halfway between the city and the airport, so it's quite convenient for getting around. So we're all set up. We bought a house, and we'll probably move there in July when the kids are done with school here, and we'll head over there in July. That's what we're going to do.
Let me ask you, what's going to happen to your summer festival?
That's. I mean, we're talking about that. We've done the festival since 2009, and the whole point of it really was to do something at home. Because you spend your life traveling to play concerts.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to have a week where you're not traveling, but you're playing concerts just at home and kind of inviting friends to be with you and do that. That was the point of it. I think it would be a great shame to give it up, and I don't think we want to do that at all. It's just that I've got to get my head around what it all means, and I'm not quite there with that yet. I've become a right old Anglophobe. I'm so appalled by the politics of the country, and I feel sort of moving away to Norway, as we're going to do, is in a way it's what it's necessary, because I think the kids are going to have better life chances there, and being resident in the Schengen zone will be good for getting around and all of that. But it's also a kind of it also symbolic as well in some way. But on the other hand, I can't just turn my back on the UK, because I've got so many friends and family, and and we've got this festival, so we need to maybe in a sense reinvent it, or kind of reinvent the meaning of it. And I'm not entirely sure exactly what that's going to be yet.
Even if you were still in England and weren't moving in June or July, there would still be doubt as to whether or not you could hold the festival, right, this year.
I guess so. Although, I mean, here, I think people are fairly confident that after the middle of May. 17th of May is a bit of a milestone in this roadmap, back to normality in the UK. And the one thing the UK has done well is the vaccine rollout. That I think it's now. I just saw that today. It's up to now 40% of the population has had at least one dose. And that's more than half the adult population. So I think by the time we get to June, I think people are feeling fairly confident that something will be able to happen. Even, we're all expecting it to be with a certain amount of social distance and mask wearing and all that. And we're happy to do shorter concerts and repeat them, all the usual things that have been happening for the past year. But I think it looks pretty good that something can happen. I think it looks fairly positive at the moment.
In Vancouver, there's no indication. I mean, none of the halls are open. None of them have been open since March, when things are going to start. So I don't even know if our season, which is booked, will start in October or January of the next year.
I know. It's so frustrating, isn't it? I mean, so many agents and concert presenters are sort of making plans, and then turns out you can't do that, so you make more plans, and then you can't do that, and it's up to plan G before anything happens.
It's funny because I go up and down. I have energy for 5 minutes, and then I sort of go into what's the point, and I just can't face trying to deal with anything. All the structure, if I ever had any, what little bit I had, is gone out of my life. And I need to actually, I need to do something to get myself back into, at least you can practice.
I know, but it's true, isn't it? In so many ways that it's like the scaffolding's been taken away. And, you either just find ways to motivate yourself or you don't. And I've been much the same, really. I think it's been the same for a lot of people, that it's nice that you can go and practice and you can go and learn something new, and that's a pleasure. But especially it's like at the first part of this year, when that nothing's going to be happening. You do think, well, okay, it's nice that I'm doing this for myself, but I want it to be more than just for myself. It's
exactly.
You want to be able to share it and to do it, and to sustain the motivation is really difficult, I think, through this. But hopefully we're starting to climb out of it somehow in the next few months.
Paul, one of the questions that's come up very recently, of course, and I don't know whether you saw Stephen Huff's blog about, no, it wasn't a blog, it was an interview he did about post-pandemic and when concerts start up again. So in those sort of earlier days when, people are going to concerts, is it better to do a concert without an intermission? The idea intrigues me, actually. And I'm just speaking from the point of view of the audience. I mean, never mind the performer. Who cares what they think?
I know.
The audience, the intermission is the time when the audience can get together and say, oh, wasn't that phenomenal? Or how could she ever bring such a ridiculous artist? I mean, it's kind of a social time, which is interlinked with the whole notion of going to a live performance.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the shorter concert thing, I mean, if I speak just with my, performer's hat on, it's brilliant because, once you've started, it's a bit of a pain really to stop for 20 minutes. And then I think most people probably would prefer to keep going. And you do a shorter concert, you do maybe 70 minutes of music, which isn't that much shorter than what you would play in a full concert with an interval. So I quite like it, and I'm happy to play that twice or even 3 times a day if you need to. But I think it's really interesting that what this past year has underlined about performance is how much it's an interaction. You know, I mean, we've all gone digital, and that's great that we've been able to do things and, you know, stream things and put things online, and we're all happy to do that. But there's no amount of technology that will replace the real thing, because it's an experience, it's an interaction. And, you know, something I just thought was that I always, like, if someone asked me a question about why music's important, I said, well, you know, people need music. You know, they need it for so many different reasons. But I never realized that the opposite is true, that it goes the other way, that music needs people. And it's so true, because it's only in that moment that it really truly
exists.
Comes to life.
Yes.
It only exists. And it's great that we can have CDs and we can listen to it in all sorts of different ways. But the point is that we listen totally differently when we're in the hall having the experience, and nothing replaces that.
No.
It's a two-way street.
It's so interesting. I think, really, I mean, what you said is so important, that music needs people. Because take any piece, a sonata by Mozart. I mean, it's just black and white dots on a page. And it only exists when you're at the keyboard playing it for people. When I listen to you and Steven playing that fantasy, and I was on the other side of my computer, and I was thinking, but I was trying to imagine how differently I would have felt if I'd been sitting in the hall and the sound, and I would have had everything else around, not just focused on the keyboard with the two of you.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how you describe that. I mean, you can't describe it. You feel it.
Yeah, and also the other way around. You know, the energy that would give to the performance and the moment, to have people sitting there listening and concentrating, and all this. You know, that's what brings a silence to life in a piece. You know, you can have silence. I can go into my piano room and close all the doors, and it'll be quiet. But the silence that you have with 800 people, you know, holding their breath in a concert hall, it's just not the same. And that's part of it. It's so important. It's just what brings it to life. It's the experience that everybody's sharing in that time. Yeah, and I think we're just all desperate to get back to that now. Really, I miss it so much.
I think about silence a hell of a lot, and I know you have. I've been in the hall where you've reached the end of a concert and you've just sat there and the audience is silent. And that, for me, is worth $500,000 million. That is why I do what I do. There are different qualities of silence. I mean, as you say, when you go into your studio and you shut the door, but the silence in a concert hall is almost an active silence. It's a different silence.
Yeah.
It's a different silence.
It's a living silence.
Yes, it's a living silence. I mean, and all. I mean, I think, like the Liszt Sonata, when I talked to Boris Giltberg, who sat at the piano, you know, he did the Richter trick. He sat and counted to 100 before he started. But it really makes the sonatas, it's like it's coming out. The silence is a part of it. Silence is a very important part of music.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's the energy of a silence, or the tension of a silence. It's, you know, that's what makes it special. And I guess, you know, whatever it is about the silence is informed by the sound around it. But, you know, nevertheless, the silence is really important.
Do you think, from your perspective, because I know you are one of the artists, and I always make fun of you, don't I? Saying that if anybody wants to travel, they should go to you to be the travel agent, because you'll send them to Kalamazoo via whatever. But you do travel a hell of a lot. And once this is all over, do you see yourself going, of course you'll get the opportunities. Will you travel as much, or would you prefer to go to places and stay a few days? And how What do you see?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think many of us have felt that sort of what started a year ago was in some ways an opportunity to step off a treadmill. And there's something about this career, this music business, music industry, or whatever, however you'd put it, that it sort of terrorizes you, and it keeps you in a way, because I think quite a few of us are sort of worried that that we have to keep doing it, and it's not only about saying yes when you're asked to do things, but it's also about sort of keeping yourself in the swing of it, and worrying that if you spend too much time away from it, will it feel strange to walk on the stage? And you have to sort of keep doing it, but it does get its claws into you, this whole business. And one of the positive things is that in the past year we've all had an opportunity to look at that life from the outside,
yes,
and to reevaluate what's important about it, what's good about it, what's not so good about it. And I love playing and I love traveling, but I've never spent so much time at home as I have in the past year in my life, and I love that too. And I think coming back into it, maybe certainly to speak for myself, I'd like to find a different balance. I'd rather sort of use my time more wisely and not be rushing from one place to another, and just enjoying the time that I spend in each place, and enjoying spending time with those people and with those friends. And that's how I'd like to rebalance things when things start to crank up.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see you again, to hear you again.
Can't wait to see you too.
And it's been way too long. Will I have to describe you as a Norwegian pianist next time you come?
Well, when I get a passport, but they set the bar really high for citizenship. So really? the Norwegian spoken Norwegian test is quite difficult. And someone was telling me, another Brit who's lived there for about 5 years, they were saying that you have to do these exams on all sorts of aspects of Norwegian life. That questions like, how many free visits to a dentist does a 17-year-old have before they have to start paying for it? And I thought, I can think of ways I'd rather spend my time than learning about that.
Oh my God!
But we'll see. We'll start with residency. If I become a Norwegian citizen, then if that happens, then fine.
And one last question: what is the program you're going to play when you go to the Ukraine, please God?
Oh, it's some Mendelssohn songs without words, which are beautiful.
Yes.
They're gorgeous. They don't get played very much. Starting with a set of those, and then Mozart A major K331 alla turca, that one. Second half is Scriabin's Last Preludes, Opus 74, the really weird sort of out there pieces. And finishing with your favorite piece, Mussorgsky, Pictures and Exhibition.
No, actually, you know what? I'm getting to like it.
Are you?
Yes, I really am. And I haven't warmed to Liszt, but I do like Mussorgsky. I was talking about you last night with David Gordon Duke, and it was, I don't know how we got onto this, but we were talking about Ligeti and the etudes, which Danny Driver has just released a recording of, and there's another one by Amar. And we remembered how you played Ligeti on our piano, which you chose in the Tellus Theatre when we introduced the piano, and how extraordinary that was. You are such an integral part of this VRS, whether you like it or not.
Oh,
it's just remarkable how, you just we couldn't manage without you. That's all.
Well, I mean, I can't find the words really to express how special you and the VRS are to me, because, you know, it all goes back. Remember, you were the first presenter in North America. The first time I went to North America was to the Vancouver Chamber Music Festival. And, you know, it's Vancouver, all of you there, you would always be you just feel like family. You know, it feels like going to a musical home, going to Vancouver.
That's great. Well, listen, good luck with everything. I hope the move goes smoothly. I hope you get to go to Ukraine. And, you know, I really will work on getting you back here, wherever the hell I can find a venue for you, as long as it has a decent piano, right? Our piano. So
just whistle.
Care. Okay. Lots of love, and thank you so much for taking the time, Paul.
Oh, it's been fun to chat. Lots of love to you too.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.